Hello friends, welcome to my channel here at Techies. In this video, let me explore standalone template in Angular 17. So this standalone keyword we already heard in Angular 14 for standalone components. So that means the component will work independently. It does not depend on any of the model. Okay. So the same way Angular introduced these standalone templates, it don't have an app module file. So instead of that, for handling the configuration related activities, we have an app config. So up to the Angular 16, we worked on the model-based templates. Now in this Angular 17, we are moving to this standalone template. So you may have a question whether it's possible to continue the same model-based template in this Angular 17. Yes, obviously. So when we are creating the project, additionally we have to include this no standalone keyword. So then it will create the normal model-based template. At the same time, we have to learn this standalone template because we don't know how long they are going to support for this model-based template. Okay, as of now, it is available. And one more thing, when we are moving from this model-based template to standalone template, we don't have an app model files that I already mentioned. So since this model file is removed, obviously we will face some challenges in different areas. So here I listed out some of the areas. Basically, we will face some challenges and also I have provided the exact fix. First, we can start from the components. In this component point of view, we have a changes in this routing and lazy loading using one component in another component like a parent-child component relationship. And then we can see how to use material UI in the standalone template. Then HTTP request handling and reactive forms, HTTP interceptors, NGRX. Finally, we can do one predictions in the standalone template using .NET Core Web API and NGRX pattern. Okay. First, let me create the application. So the command point of view, there is no change. ng new and our application name. So defaultly, it will take the standalone template only. Okay. But make sure already you have upgraded your Angular CLI into Angular 17. So we can choose this CSS and then server side rendering. As of now, we can give no. Maybe I will cover in the separate video for the server side rendering. So the application is created. Next, we can open in this VS Code. Okay, our application is opened. So we can review the folder structure. So it's almost similar to the model-based template only. We have a slight difference. First, we have this node models, and then in this source, then this app. So up to this is fine only. Then we have one component is app component, but this component is the standalone template. Okay, and we can see this app config. So as I mentioned, instead of the app model, we have this app config. So in this provider side, defaultly registered these routes. Okay, and then we have this routing file. Here we can define our routing related things. And as usual, we have this index and main.ts. So in this main.ts, in this bootstrap application side, added this app config. Okay, and other areas are same only, like Angular JSON, package JSON, and this TS config, everything is same only. Okay, next let me run this application. Application running in this port of 4200. Okay, so next we can start our changes. First, in this app component side, let me have this router outlet and removing all other things. Okay, I just saved. See the response now, completely plain screen. So if I'm adding something, okay, the text is coming. So next let me create some components. So in this command point of view, there is no changes, but it will create default as the standalone component only. So if you are checking here, see standalone component. So the same way, let me create one more component. Okay, the two components are created. So next we can include these two components in our routing side. So in this array, we can include the objects. First I'm registering this home component. So next we can include the customer. Okay, now it is fine. So now if we are checking, we can see this home works. It is coming from the home component. At the same time, if I'm providing customer, so it is coming as the customer works. Okay, our routing is working fine. So next we can include the menu. So let me try the same navigation using menu also. For doing this one, let me create one more component, menu header. Okay, the component is created. So let me take this selector. So in our app component, let me add this component as the child component. Okay, so once I'm saved, see, we are getting the error because this is not the known element of app component. So in this case, we have to import this component in our app component. In this import side, let me include menu header component. Okay, see, now it is working. So next in this component, let me include two buttons. One is for home and another one is for the customer, and adding this router link. Okay, just to save. See now. So design, once we installed this material UI, we can manage. So before that, we can have the same one. See, we have two buttons and I added this router link also. So when I'm clicking this home, see, it is not changed. So currently we are in this home page. So when I'm clicking this customer also, it is not navigated. So the reason is we are used this router link, okay, but it is the unknown element for this component. So we have to import this one. So in this TS side, in this import area, let me import this router link. So now if I'm trying, see, it is changed to customer. So the navigation is working fine. And the next thing is this lazy loading, okay. So in our scenario, we have used two components. One is home component and another one is the customer component. In this initial page load, this customer component is not needed. So when I'm clicking this customer only, it's needed. So initially, if you are checking, so in this source side, inside this component folder, we can see this customer home and a menu header from the initial load itself. Now let me apply the lazy loading for this customer. So we can remove this one, the top also. We can use load component, import. Then, so now let me save this one. So now if I'm trying to reload this page, so in this component side, we can see this home and menu header only. So when I'm clicking this customer, it's loaded, this customer also, okay. So this is the way our lazy loading is working. So next we can install the material UI because the design also needed one. Angular material. So here also we can use the same command. So now the installation in progress. Okay, the available version is 17.0.4. We can continue with yes. So the theme, we can choose this Indigo Pink. So next we can choose the theme. and typography, yes, animations, yes. The installation is completed. It's affected our Angular JSON index styles and also this app config file. So you can see here. So in this provider side, it's included this provide animation. Okay. So next, let me create one common model class. So in this source folder, created one folder model, and we can create one more folder model. And in this model folder, we can create one file. So here let me import some of the commonly used components models. So if it is not coming, we have to import it manually. The same way we have to import other models also. Okay, this is fine. These are the one-time changes only. Next in our menu header component. So in this import side already we have this router line. So after that let me include this material model also. Okay. And here so we can use this mat toolbar. Okay, we are getting this error and it is targeting this material model. So let me verify. Okay, syntax issue. Okay, now it is fine. Okay, we have this menu. We can include one icon menu. So after that we can move these two buttons here. And let me include this mat button directive. Okay. So we can save this one. And in this text also, let me remove. See now our menu is fine. So currently we have completed this component and material UI. So next we can move on the HTTP client. So let me create one service here. So let me provide the name is master service. So our service also created. Okay, this is our service. So here let me inject this HTTP client. So in this model based template, we supposed to import this HTTP client model. So here we have to include some provider. Let me show you. So before that, let me enable this JSON server API also. Data. Okay, the API URL also ready. So now we can use this endpoint first. Okay. So in our service side, I'm creating one function, just a get all. Okay. And provided this endpoint, and we can create one model also. we can define these things. Okay, ID title and this other. ID as the integer, so we can provide number, and then title string. So finally other also string. So now we can use the model here. So now I am trying to consume the same service in our component side. So let me take this customer only. Okay, so here I am going to have this constructor and injecting the service here. And also implementing on into hook, and then creating one function and declaring one variable here. So I'm just formatted and adding this into the console. Okay, that's fine. And I'm calling this function it here. So up to this is the normal procedure only. See, we are getting some error. That's what the data also it's not loaded. Null injector error. So no provider for HTTP client. That is the reason. So we have to add the provider in our app config side. So let me go to our app config. So the provider name is provide HTTP client. So let me save this one. So now if I'm clicking this customer, we are able to get this data. Okay. So now we have completed this HTTP client. Next, let me moving on this HTTP interceptors. We all know the usage of this HTTP interceptors. It's basically modifying this HTTP request. So in my case, I'm going to consume one secured .NET Core Web API. For accessing the API, I have to pass this JWT token. First, we can create our interceptor. So the command is nggenerate interceptor. So we can create in the folder of service. Let me provide the name is token interceptor. See, the interceptor is created. For verifying this one, so let me include one console. And in this model based template, once we created our interceptor, we have to include in this app model provider section. But in this standalone template, in this app config side, we already included this provide HTTP client inside that. So let me go to our app config. So here already we have included this provide HTTP client. So inside that we can include with the interceptors. So here we can pass multiple interceptors. Okay. So let me include our token interceptor. Okay, this is fine. Let me save this one. So now see, we can see this text. So initially I'm in this home page. So when I moved this customer, I'm having one HTTP request. See, so that's what I'm getting this console message. So instead of this JSON server API, let me consume this real-time.NET Core Web API. For that, I am already having one created .NET Core Web API. So here we can take this customer. Let me execute this one. So we are getting this 401 error because this is the secured one. We have to pass the authorization token. So let me copy this URL and adding in this postman, and in this header side we have to pass our token. Okay, so already I have included, maybe it is the expired one. So let me generate one new token. So if you want to know about this baby API, just to follow my .NET 7 baby API tutorial, I will add that video link also in this description. Okay, it is generated the token. Let me pause it here. See, it is working now. Okay, the same API only we are going to use in our application. First let me copy this API endpoint URL. So in our application, first in this service side I'm creating one method, get all customer. Next we can create the model class. I'm in the model interface here. So the properties we can get it from here: code, name, email, and phone, credit limit. We can take the first four fields, that's enough. Okay, so next in this service side we can include that. Next in our component side, I mean our customer component. So instead of this get all, we can use our get all customer. And I'm changing this data type also for the declaration. Okay. So the next thing is we have to pass the token. So let me go back to our token interceptor. Here we can remove this one. Here let me declare one variable. We can provide the name as JWT Token. We can clone this request. Using this set header option, we can pass the authorization token and our token type. Then we need to pass our token. So in this real-time application, once we logged in, we will get the token. We are supposed to store one of the state management option. So for this example, let me hard code the token value. Okay, we can pass this one. Let me format this one. At the end, we can return this token. Okay, let me generate one new token because the old one may be expired. So now let me try this one. See, we got the complete customer information. Totally we have 8 records. It's showing. So next what I'm going to do, we can do the NGRX implementation. So before that, using this data, let me bind in the one of the table, the material UA table. So it's not going to take much time. I just used one table. So let me save this one. mat card is the unknown element. Okay, so then in this import side we have to import this material model. Okay, now it's fine. So next in our TS side, I'm going to declare one more variable. So once we have this data, let me assign to this data source. Okay, using mat table data source option. Okay, this is fine. Next we can define the table headers. So the data type is string array. We can provide some hardcode values. So we can use this code name, email and phone number. Okay. Next in this HTML side, we can include mat table, some this data source. We can pass the data. That's fine. And here we can have this table header and table row. Okay. So the same way for table body, we can say this is mat row and mat row definition. The columns, we can use the same display columns. Okay. Then using this ng container, we can set our th and td. Next in this th mat header cell. Same way for the td. So instead of the header cell, we can use this mat cell. And in this mat cell definition, for the data binding, we can use this one. Okay, so let me save this one. Okay, still the data is not loaded. Let me verify. Okay, we are getting the error. So can't bind the ng for since it's not a known property of ng container. Okay, so the reason is, so since we don't have this app model, but if you want to use the common directives, we have to import this common model. Okay, so the same thing applicable for ngf and ng switch also. Now let me try. See, so the data are loaded fine. So if you want to show some difference, we can include some styles here. So the data is loaded fine. So after that we can apply the shorting and pagination. The steps are same only. Maybe I will include in the end of the video. So next we can focus on this NGRX. So let me go to the official site of NGRX. First let me install this NGRX store. So our application in the running mode. Let me stop this one. can provide is okay. The installation gets completed. So in this model based template, we supposed to import this store model in our app.model. But in this standalone template, we have to include the provider. The provider is provide store. So it will be automatically imported. Okay. If it is not happen, we have to do it manually. So the same way, let me install this effects also. So we can install the latest version. That's fine. Okay, it is installed successfully. For registering our effect also, we have to include the provider, that is provide effects. Okay. So let me save this one. So next we can start the NGRX implementation. Created one folder store. So inside that we can have this customer. So in this customer, I'm going to create customer dot actions ts. So first we can create all the files. Okay. Customer dot state ts, and the next one is for reducer, and the fourth one is for effects, and the final one is selector. Next, in our model, already we have this customer model. So here let me create one more interface. So we can provide the name as customer model. It's having one list property that is having the collection of customer information, and another one is error message. This one is just a string. Okay. Next, in our state, so we can define our state, customer state. Okay. And the data type is customer model. So in the list we can give the empty array, and in this error message also we can say we can set as the empty. Let me format this one. Next we can create the action. So in this action, first let me declare some constant variable. I'm declaring two more variables. Okay. One is for success and another one is for the failure. And we can create the actions. First one is load customer. Using this create action, load customer. So the same way we can define two more actions. One is for the success and another one is for the failure. So in this success scenario, having one props, and the data type is customer only. So the same way for this failure scenario, we will get the error messages f props. So let me save this one. So next we can move on the reducer side. So in this reducer side, first I'm creating one function. It's having state and action as the parameter. And then top of that we can define our reducer. here we can pass our initial state. Okay, so our initial state is customer state only. Next, I'm just returning it here. Okay, next we can register this reducer in our config section. So the object name, let me provide customer, and the reducer is customer reducer. Next we can move on the effect side. So here export class customer effect, and we can use this injectable decorator, and then we can have one constructor. So in this constructor, first let me inject the actions that is from our effects library, and then our services, and the service is master services. Okay, so let me format this one, and then we can create the individual effects. First one is load customer, and then checking the action type. If it is load customer, using xcast map option, and here we can call our services, and again I'm using this pipe option, and then using this map. So in this success scenario, load customer success. Same time in this failed scenario, we can dispatch this load customer fail. So here look like this map is not imported. Why it is not allowing this parameter? Let me verify. So the first one is fine. For the next two actions, we have these props. Okay, end with we have to include something like this. Okay, see now both the error also got resolved. So next we can work for this load customer success action in our reducer side. So we just defined it here. First I'm checking using this on keyword on from NGRX store. If the action is load customer success, here we will get the state and action. So here we can return our actual state. So in this list, we can set the values from our props. And in this error message, we can set as the empty. Okay. So let me format this one. So the same way, let me include for the failure scenario also. If it is failed, then this list should be empty array, and we can provide the error message to here. Okay, just to format it. And one more thing, we already completed our effects already, so that we can include in our app config side. So we can register many effects. So I added this array. Our current effect name is customer effects. Okay, this one also fine. And the only thing is bending, that is our selector. Just declaring one variable. And here we need to provide the registered value that we can get it from our app config. So this alias name only we can supposed to use, and the data type is customer model. Okay, then we can create our actual selector, get customer list, create selector, and here we can pass this featured selector. So let me format this one. Now we have completed our selector also. Next, let me move on our component side. In our customer component, now we can remove these services. So instead of that, let me inject the store from this NGRX store. Okay, so now we are getting error in this load initial data. So here first we can dispatch our action, that is the load customer. Okay, so next we can get the data from the selector. Same store dot select. So inside that we can use the selector get to customer list, that is our selector. So then we are subscribing and other things are same. So let me confirm this selector. Okay, now it is fine. We can format this one, and I'm generating the token once again. We can add this token in our interceptor side. Okay, I'm just refreshing the screen. Okay, application not in the running mode. Okay, the data is loaded. So next we can apply the sharding and pagination also. It's not going to take that much time. First in this TS side, I'm using this view child and then mat paginator. So the same way we can include the mat sharding. Next in this data source, paginator equal to the declared paginator. So the same way we can include this sharding also. So next in our HTML side, in this table we can include this mat shard, and in this header we can include this mat shard header. So let me save this one. And finally, we can include the paginator control here. First, we can give the page size options. We can provide 5, 10, and 50. Also, we can enable this show first and last button. Okay, let me try now. See, it's loaded. Our pagination also working. So if I'm selecting 10 records, all are loaded in the single page, and our sharding also working fine. Okay. So now we covered most of the areas. So in this CRUD actions, we just loaded the data. The same way we can do the create and update delete actions also. And one more thing, this reactive form also not covered. Once we are started the add screen, we will cover this reactive forms also. So before that, one more topic I missed, that is the Auth card. So it is also used for the authentication implementation time. So let me do that now. For the testing purpose, let me generate one card. We can create this one also under this service folder. So the name I provided Auth card. Can activate we can use. Okay, it's created. Okay. So this is our Auth card. In this place only we're supposed to write our logics. Okay. And in our service side, let me have one function. So defaultly I'm just returning true. Okay. So next in our Auth card side, we can inject these services. At the same time, let me declare one more variable, that is router. So this is used for the navigation time. Here I'm injecting this router. And I'm just checking if it is returning true, then we can return as true. So in this else scenario, we can say false and we can give one alert message and we can redirect to the home page. Okay. Okay, now this is fine. So the next important thing is we have to use this Auth card in our routing side. So we can apply for this customer only, okay? Can activate. We can use this Auth card. So let me format this one. So now I'm in the home page. Once I moved to this customer, the data is loaded fine. So next in this service, I'm changing this value into false. So basically this value we will get based on the user login in this real-time application. For the time being, we are just hard coding, okay? See again we are in this home page only. So when I'm clicking this customer link, I'm getting this alert message unauthorized access. Once I'm clicked OK, it is again redirected into our home page. So this is the way our Auth card is working in our standalone template also. So next we can focus on creating one new customer. So in this time we will cover our reactive forms concept. First let me create one component and let me provide the name is add customer, okay? And in this service also in this card we can provide the default, but not here. This card also we can provide the default values true because anyway we won't access the pages, right? So next we can register this add customer also in our routing side. So in this app routing, I'm just copying this one. Customer slash add. Instead of this customer component, we can add this add customer. Okay. So this is the way it will work. And let me include one button here. We can use mat raised button and color primary. So here also we can use this router link. Then we have to include this router link here. So let me click this add customer button. Okay, it is simply redirected. Okay, so we can start from the designing. So in this header we can say this is add customer, and in this content side include this, we can include this mat form field, and then we can include our input control and add this directive mat input. Okay, we are getting some error. The reason is we not inputted this material model. Okay, see the design now, and we can include one static class. So width we can provide 50%. Okay, at the same time let me provide this mat label also. So this is for code. So the same way, let me include three more fields. One is for name, another one is for email, and then phone number. Now it is fine. So finally we can include the buttons. This mat card footer. So let me include the buttons. Color primary. And also we can include one back button. So here also we can use the same matrixed button. And then including this router link, just a customer. And in this import side we have to include this router link. Okay, the design purpose. Okay, this is fine. This is fine, and we can remove this text also, it's not needed. Next, let me define our reactive forms. First I added this. Here I am just injecting this form builder. And then declaring my form. So the same way, let me include the other controls also. Name, email, and phone number. Next, in our HTML side, we can include this form group. So in this time, we have to import this reactive form models here. So now the error got resolved, and for the individual controls also we can include this form control name. We can include this in this submit. save customer, and instead of the button we can include the anchor tag, because the button may work as the submit button. That's why. And let me define this function as well. Here I'm just checking whether this form has the valid data. If it is yes, take the value from our form and assigning into our new object. Now we can get the value. Next one is name, then email, and phone. Now our data is ready. So next we can call our services and pass the exact data. Since we are using this NGRX pattern, so we have to work for services and also the NGRX. So first let me start from the service side, okay? So we can use the same master services, and I'm creating one more function. So the function is create customer. This is the post method, and it is having one input object. The data type is customer. Don't have any return type. First we are passing this URL and then passing this object also. So the URL we have to change. So this is our actual URL. So let me format this one. So the same way, let me create for update. Now it is put method. Again, this is our URL, and here this one is nothing but our code. So we can pass like this. And the final one is delete. So here the input is code only, and the data type is string, and the URL. So this is our URL. Okay, this is fine. And we need to write one more get method for getting the individual customer information. Get customer by code. So the data type is string code only. So it will return the single object. And the API URL is, we can use this get by code. So all the service secured one. First the service is ready. Next we can work for the NGRX. So in this store already we created the files. So we can start from these actions. So in this action, we can create the actions for this create, update and delete. So the same way, first we can declare these constant variables. So instead of the load, we can say this is for add, for the update, and finally for the delete. Okay, so next we can create the respective actions. So the first action is for add customer. Okay, so we can use the constant variable is add customer. It's having the props. We are passing single customer object. So next in this add customer success, so initially I am not provided any props. If needed we can include. So the same way we can do for this update. Update customer and update customer success. And the final one is for delete. I'm just copying this one, and instead of the update we can provide delete and change it this type, delete customer, delete customer success, and the data type is string. The name I provided is the code. Okay, so now we are good with on our action side. So next let me move on to the effects. So in this effects already we have this load customer. Here let me create one more effect section for this add customer. So in this type we are checking as add customer, and in this service let me call this create customer. Okay, and we have to pass the data that we can get it from the action. So once it is completed we can use add customer success. So currently we don't have any data also. Okay, so in this failure scenario we have to show some messages that I will handle in the end of the video. So initially we can complete the functions. Okay, so the next one is for the update. Here the type is update customer, and here also we are passing the same data. Once it is succeeded, I'm just calling this update customer success. Okay, and finally for this delete we can say delete customer, and then delete customer success. We just completed our effect side. Okay, this is fine. Next we can work for the alert. So let me create one more action. So the action name is show alert, and then using props. So in this props we can pass the message and then response type. So let me save this one, and in our effect side So the first one is load customer. There is no change. Next in this add customer. So currently, if it is succeeded, we are dispatching this add customer success. So additionally, I am going to dispatch one more action. So what I'm going to do, instead of this xcast map, I am using this switch map option, and here also it is switch map. Okay. After that, we can use the Auth keyword. Then we can dispatch our action here. Show alert. One is message. So we are saying added successfully. The second one is response type. So here I just provided pass. Okay. Next in this failure scenario also, we can call the same alert. So in this case, it is fail, and the message is to add. Okay. So the same changes we can apply for the other actions also. So next in this update customer, again here also I'm using the switch map. Updated successfully and failed to update. In this last for our delete customer, okay, now we are good to go. Okay, this is fine. Next we can work for this show alert action. For showing this alert, I'm going to use the material evasion bar component. So the first thing is we have to import it, and in our model also we can include this one. Next I'm writing one function here. So this function having two parameters. One is message, the data type is string, and another one is the response type. And the default value we can provide as fail. So here let me start the implementation. So the first parameter is our message only, and the button text defaultly we can provide OK. And let me include some of the properties. First in this position we can give top. The horizontal position, let me provide end. Duration 5000 milliseconds, and we can use some classes. So let me declare one more variable. This is for showing the color. Okay, the panel class, let me provide this class. So what we can do, based on this response type, we can set the color. So in this pass scenario, I'm just providing text green. This is a custom class, we can define little later. And if it is, and in this else scenario, text red. Okay, and we can include these classes in this common style. The same way, let me include this red also. Now this is fine. Next in this effects, let me create one more effect for this showing alert. Okay, For the big application, we can define this show alert globally so that we can use in the multiple models. Of type is show alert and using this xcast map. Here we are calling our snake bar function and we can pass the parameter also, the message and the response type. After it is dismissed, if some actions need to be executed means we can do here. So otherwise we can have one empty action. So let me format this one. Okay, now we are good with our effects. Next, let me move on the component. We can dispatch this action from our component. So in this add customer component, so already have this data. Next in this constructor, let me inject the store. Then I am dispatching the action here. Add customer, okay. Here I'm just passing this data. So let me create one new record, 022. Once I'm clicked this save, so we got a message added successfully. So the same way we can work for the edit and delete. For doing this edit and delete, let me include some button here. First in this display columns, I am going to include one more field is called action. Okay. Next in this HTML side, so it should be actually TD. So currently if you are checking, we are getting this empty text. So in this case, actually we have to show our button. So what I'm going to do, here I'm just checking. If the column is not action only, we are showing this text, okay? So otherwise, here I'm going to include our buttons. And we can include one more button that is for delete. See the response now. For the space, we can manage from the CSS itself. Okay, now it is fine. So here first let me start from this delete. Let me include one function here. element.code. Next, defining this function here. Code string. Then I'm just putting one JavaScript confirmation box. Do you want to remove? If it is yes, we can dispatch our delete customer action, okay? Here we can dispatch our delete action, delete, and I'm passing this code. Once the delete is completed, make sure we have to remove the record from our state and also our listing. So we can do some changes. So in this scenario, in our delete customer success, I am going to include the props code. Okay. So next in our effects, okay, now it is fine. So after that, in our reducer side, just copied and checking the action is, if it is delete customer success, from this state in this list I am applying this filter option. Okay, we just ignored the particular record and then assigning this value into our actual state value. Okay, so now let me save this one. See, now I'm trying to remove this record wins. So it's saying, do you want to remove? Once I'm clicked OK, so removed successfully and also the record got removed. So if I'm trying to remove this Rashmika, okay, the record got removed. So that means our delete functionality also working fine. So the next thing is we can work for this edit. For this edit, let me include one route. Just copied this one, customer.edit, and we can pass one parameter also, code, and other things are same only. Next in this listing, first I'm binding this function. So instead of the delete customer, I am providing edit customer. Next we can define this function. From this function, we can navigate into our edit page. So here let me inject the router. Code. So let me try now. So let me try now. See. Okay, now it is redirected into our edit URL. So in this edit also we are using the same components. So next what I'm going to do, I'm trying to access this value. So based on this code, we can get the individual customer information. I'm going to populate in this controls. So after that we can do our update operation. Okay, so that's our plan. Okay, first we can get this value from our component. So let me go to our add customer component. Here let me inject activated route. Okay, next declaring some variables. So the first one is edit code. So the default value we can provide empty. Okay, and the next one is page title. So the default value we can provide add customer, and then yes, code disabled. So the default value is false. So first we can use this page title. So initially we just hard coded. So instead of that we can bind this declared variable. So next in our TS side, so let me implement this ng on in hook. So here we can assign the value for our edit code. this data activated route snapshot. So here we have to provide the value. Okay, so the value we can get it from our routing side. Yeah, we added a code. I need to convert this one. If it is not equal to null, then not equal to empty, then this is the update scenario. Okay, so otherwise it is our normal add scenario. So we can just work for this update. So here first I am assigning values into our page title, edit customer, and then this disabled. So let me include true. So the default value should be false. So after that we can disable this code. So I think we can include it directly. This dot my form controls dot code disabled. Okay. So I think this field is not needed. So let me save this one. See, this is the add scenario. For this edit, it is completely disabled. Okay. And also we can verify this edit code whether we got the exact value. So if I'm clicking 010, see, we got the value. So the next thing is how to connect within services. By passing the individual customer code, we can get the individual customer information. So this one also having some changes from our NGRX initially. First of all, in this NGRX state, I'm including one object. This is the single object, and then in our state, so there is an empty object I provided. For the missing fields, we have included the default value. Okay, just to save this one. And then in our selectors, let me create one more selector, edit data. So in this case, we are just returning this edit data. Okay. Next, in our component side, already injected this store. Here we can subscribe our selector. So whatever value is coming, I'm going to assign into our form. So the first one is code, that is item.code, and the name, next email, and the final one is phone. So let me format this one. And the next thing is from our store, we just added one object in our state. So next thing is we have to assign the values into this object. Okay, for doing this one, let me write one action here. So now let me provide load, or else we can give just to get customer. The same way we can declare these values also, I mean the constant variables. And while making request also we have one drop, that is with the. So that is the code only. So the data type is string. So let me format this one. And next in our effect side, we have this load customer. So let me copy this one and provide the name as get customer. So here I'm just checking the action is get customer, and in the service side we have to write one function. So already we have this get customer. Okay, already we have included get customer by code that we can use it here. Get customer by code. From this action, we will get the code. I'm just to pass it here. So once it is succeeded, so in this failure scenario, maybe so no need to show anything. So time being, I'm just calling this empty action. So next in our reducer side, for the initial load time, so the object don't have any data, okay, but we have to provide the default values. That let me get it from our state. And the failure time, no need to worry. This delete scenario also not a problem. Next we can include our section. Customer success. So in this case, we are not modifying this list, and in this edit data, we are just assigning values from our action.object. Okay, so that's all about the changes. Now we can try. Now I'm trying to edit this record. So it is changed into edit customer and also disabled, but the data is not coming. Okay. So the reason is we have to dispatch this action that we missed. So let me do it from our component side. So in this scenario, I'm dispatching the action is get customer. Okay. And we need to pass the props. That is our code. So the code value already available in this. See, the data also binded. So if I'm clicking some other record, it's binded. At the same time, if I'm clicking this add, there is no data. If I'm clicking this edit, the particular record is loaded. Okay. So now this is fine. So the next thing is we have to for this save. So already we have written the function for creating the record. So there we can do some modification for this update. So here first I'm checking edit code not equal to null, not equal to empty. So then this is the update scenario. Okay. Else as usual our add scenario. So in this edit scenario, we can dispatch this edit customer action. I think it is update customer. Okay. So that's fine. So let me say this one. And there is one doubt I'm having, since we are disabled this field, whether we are able to access the value by using our normal syntax. So anyway, first we can confirm. Just commanded everything. So in this edit scenario, see we are getting this undefined. So the reason is this code field currently we disabled. Okay, so that's what we are getting something like this. So in this case, so instead of this value, we can use this get raw data. I mean this get raw value. So then we will get the value. See. So if the field is not disabled, then we can go with an value. Otherwise, we supposed to use like this. So in our case, it's not needed. So this is one of the option. So in our so this is one of the option. So otherwise, in this edit scenario, we already have this code, right? We can directly assign into the object. So then we can have it like this. So in this edit scenario only, in this dot edit code. So now also it's fine. So now I'm trying to change the value Rajesh.1 and the name we can provide Rajesh Kumar and completing this phone number. So now if I saved, update successfully. So if I'm going to the list, see the fields are updated and this in this amend saved. See, okay, the edit also working fine. So now we completed this CRUD action also. So final review. So initially we started from these components. In this component point of view, we did this routing, lazy loading, using one component in another component. So additionally, we covered this hard card. Then we have used the material UI. There is no much changes. And in this HTTP client, we have included the provider. And then reactive forms, we just imported reactive form models in our component side. And in this HTTP interceptors, we add the provider. And in this NGRX, we added providers for the store and effects. Then we did the complete redactions. There is no much changes, but anyway, we followed the same configuration. And the final one is model based templates. So I'm just sharing this index. Okay. So previously, we supposed to use this ng new and project name. So now we are trying in this Angular 17. So it will defaultly create the standalone template. So since if you want a model based template, you have to include this no standalone keyword. Okay. So then it will create the normal model based templates. So now we are in the end of the video. Still, if you have any doubts or clarification, please post in the comment box. And also please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you. Thanks for watching.